try to spend a lot of time figuring out how to bring in these videos. I feel like, I'm going to have a cool intro for this, I'll use some clips from the trailer and, try to have fun with it. And then I always try to have a couple snappy one-liners right at the start. But I couldn't really think of anything for Look Back. And the more and more I tried to think of something, the more and more there was only really one phrase I thought I could say, which is that I think Look Back is the best movie I've seen this year. The original manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto is a favorite of mine, and I'm a huge Fujimoto fan, if you can't tell from all of the Chainsaw Man comics and one-shot books of his I have on my shelf. I absolutely love his works with Chainsaw Man. I have the short stories book. I have his Goodbye Eerie manga. I'm a huge fan of everything Fujimoto does, and particularly Look Back is a fantastic introduction to his art style and storytelling. Now, granted, he wasn't directly involved other than overseeing the production of the film. There was obviously a director and cast and animators, but it's a very faithful adaptation of his original manga, and you see his style all over this movie. I particularly enjoy all the little references to his other works, like Goodbye Eerie, like Chainsaw Man, even Fire Punch is referenced at one point. It's awesome. I love little stuff like that. I think it's really cool. The story follows Fujino, a young girl who's in the 6th grade, I believe, at the start of the film, maybe 5th at the start of the film, don't remember exactly, who writes comics for her school newspaper. And she's completely content in being the greatest artist who ever lived, and she has absolutely no problem believing that until a younger classmate of hers who's a shut-in starts writing for the school newspaper as well, and she realizes that she's completely outclassed and finds a rival in this younger schoolmate, Kyomoto. Kyomoto and Fujino's friendship is pretty much the dynamic that carries this film. It is about them going from rivals to friends to co-workers to every other dramatic possibility that you could imagine within the film. There is a lot of ups and downs, a lot of back and forth, and it's a very heartfelt and beautiful story, in my opinion. I think that the characters are absolutely incredibly written and are absolutely displayed perfectly by Studio Durian. Their animation skills are untouchable in this film. It is so good. So many anime films tend to have this sleek, sexy style they go for, but Look Back kind of feels more rough and raw, and I really enjoy that. You see the kind of the artist's sketch lines and things like that. It makes it feel like a world that was inhabited by someone who loves comics and loves artwork. It is truly fulfilled in that sense, and you get this differing style when we're following Kyomoto. You follow more of, her style of art that she loves, as her character kind of, enjoys different styles of art, we'll say, than Fujino does. I won't get into details for spoilers, but we will talk about spoilers later in the video. Kiyotaka Oshima's directing is absolutely fantastic in this film. You can tell he has a great understanding of the source material and how much he loves Fujimoto's storytelling. He really resonates, you can see, with some of the personal things that characters like Fujino go through in the film, and I find myself personally relating to those as well, as any person who's ever worked on something creatively definitely can. Fujino is a very relatable character, even though she can be quite frustrating at times or very sympathetic in the same way. And Kyomoto is exactly the same, but sort of on the flip side. Fujino is very outgoing and arrogant and proud, and Fujino is more shy and reserved, and both of them together as friends bring out the best parts of each other, as any friendship really should. And you can tell through the directing and the filmmaking that they really wanted to emphasize this, and I think they do a great job of that. Yumi Kawai and Mizuki Yoshida's performances are also what allows for such an amazing dynamic to happen on screen. They truly inhabit the roles through their voice acting, and it's absolutely astounding. The two of them have incredible chemistry, and the film really wouldn't carry itself so well if it wasn't for them. I absolutely adored their performances. Voice work really deserves so much more credit in the acting world, and I think their performances are a great example of that. Now, while this film is absolutely a total tearjerker and a really kind of heartfelt dramedy, the Adi part of dramedy is also very present throughout the film. The film's quite funny. It has a lot of laugh-out-loud moments. It has a lot of heartfelt, sweet moments as well. As much as this film is a drama that tries to be very emotional and resonant with people, I do find myself laughing just as much as I find myself tearing up, which is, I think, a perfect way to strike the dissonance that this film goes for. It is trying to represent the beauty of creativity and the beauty of growing older with the people you care about, and I think they do a great job of that. And while they try to bring out different dramatic moments throughout the film, I do feel that they balance everything out just perfectly to where when you leave the film, you don't feel very somber, but you're left with this warm feeling in your chest of almost, experiencing something real that you can relate to. And even though maybe things aren't exactly the way you wanted them to go, there is a total beauty to the fact that you loved the experiences you made along the way. I genuinely believe that Fujimoto is one of the best storytellers of our time. I know I'm biased and I love a lot of his work, but I really, really believe that. And I think Look Back is a great way for people to jump in if they find some of his other work that's more intense, even though that is his chosen art style. And it's sort of an easier way for you to get into his storytelling, and it's a great way to experience it in a non-long, ongoing format. Just a quick read, and now a quick watch with this amazing film. I absolutely loved Look Back. I strongly recommend you go see it. It was amazing, and I find myself up here just rambling and trying to express how I feel about it, but the best way I can is to say just go see it. It's an awesome movie, and I really, really loved it. Now, I'm going to jump into spoilers. I really feel like I can't even talk about this film without getting into spoilers, here and there. And so I definitely want to get into it and talk about that. So big spoiler warning now. You've been warned. We're going to jump into spoilers now. So here we go. All right, welcome to the spoiler section. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of why I like this movie. Look Back is, in my opinion, at its core, about artwork and about what art means to people and how it can help people grieve, it can help people grow up, and it can help people get out of their room, literally and figuratively. Fujino's confidence is destroyed by Kiyomoto's incredible background art. She is obsessed with background art, and while she can't draw characters like Fujino can, she draws these amazing panels that kind of elicited emotion versus this comedic style that Fujino's known for. Fujino initially looks at this as a rivalry and starts to hate Kiyomoto, but when she goes to actually meet her that one day after school in the film, they do a great job of showing how Kiyomoto loves Fujino even though she's never met her, adores her work, and wants to be around her. But Kiyomoto is a shut-in. She lives at home all the time, is scared to go outside, and can barely speak. She has a stutter. And Kiyomoto does her best to be around Fujino because she just respects her so much. And Fujino's admiration for someone adoring the things she creates so much allows them to become collaborators. This is a great part of the film as it flashes through them, becoming mangaka together, publishing their own series even though they're in middle school, all these amazing things. And it's such a heartfelt friendship film. And I love all those little highlights, the little jokes and funny moments when they're running around Tokyo together as friends. It's a great coming-of-age story. As my voice cracks, I'm getting emotional even thinking about the movie. But obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know this doesn't last. Kiyomoto wants to become a background artist and separates from Fujino, and that's a really tough moment, I think, but it's so important to show how Fujino accepts this as betrayal, Kiyomoto leaving her. But Kiyomoto never even explicitly states that she doesn't want to come back and work with her one day. She just wants to become a better artist and wants to pursue background art, and she knows she can't do that if she follows Fujino for the time being. This leads to their friendship being, torn apart, and you sit there as an audience member waiting for that reunion that never comes when Kiyomoto is unfortunately murdered at her college. It's a really devastating moment, and for a film that was, packing a lot of little punches here and there and a lot of laughs, my theater was dead silent during the scene when Fujino sees the broadcast on television, as I was when I first read Look Back. I'm getting teared up almost thinking about it. It's such a powerful moment because you never explicitly know what happened to Fujino. There's flashes of things saying she was killed and that it was brutal and that she did her best to try and maybe possibly help other people. They don't really let you know. They kind of just flash little things on screen and they leave you sort of open-ended, wondering what happened, just as Fujino is, desperately trying to call her, desperately hoping that she's not one of those victims, but sadly, she is. And this leads Fujino to go back to her hometown for Kiyomoto's funeral, and we have this powerful moment where Fujino wonders if anything she ever did was worth it. She got her dream job. She's a mangaka. She's #1 best-selling comic artist, and yet making comics with her friend is what got her friend to stop being a shut-in and to go outside and to be with her. And she thinks to herself, if I'd have never done that, she'd still be alive. It's all my fault. And so then we get this beautiful sequence that's absolutely well done by Studio Durian of Fujino imagining a world where she never wrote Kiyomoto that comic, seeing where Kiyomoto would have ended up and everything. And she imagines a world where, because of that, she ends up being able to be at the school when Kiyomoto is attacked and saving her. And she imagines this whole world and goes through this whole process as she walks around Kiyomoto's bedroom, seeing all these amazing artwork pieces and things that she's done and all her sketch notebooks she's left. And then she sees the kimono top kind of sweater that she signs for Kiyomoto earlier in the film when Kiyomoto's like, oh my gosh, I'm a huge fan. And she comes to this realization that even though it's tragic what happened to Kiyomoto, she would have never wanted to not have experienced that. The posters, the manga of her shark, I think it's Shark Attack or something like that, scattered around Kiyomoto's room. How even though Fujino felt betrayed, Kiyomoto still loved her and loved everything she did and was still a huge fan of her work. And it's so sad in a way because you think, oh, they could have reconnected, so much could have happened, and it won't. But the beauty of that moment is realizing that even though it wasn't what she wanted, Kiyomoto got out of her room. She lived a full life. She got to work with the person she adored. She got to be an artist for her favorite creator, her best friend. And she wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. And Fujino's realization that those memories mean more than any life Kiyomoto could have lived out for years longer is such a beautiful moment. And it makes you realize that, you know, when you lose a loved one or someone you care about gets sick or you just fall apart from friends, even though you'll always wish things were different, you'll always wish you found that extra moment, you'll always wish you'd have been there 1 second longer, don't sweat it. Beautiful things happen. Don't regret your decisions and don't look back wishing things could have been different. Life is meant to be the way it is, and those amazing memories that Kiyomoto had shaped her life forever and gave her the life she never would have had if she didn't leave her room. It's a beautiful sentiment, and the final shot of Fujino going back to her office and hanging that one little comic that Kiyomoto had in her room she found after the funeral going around it is a beautiful final shot. And I love that the film ends on an open-ended note. You hear that question to Fujino of, why do you draw? And there is no answer because it doesn't matter. People will draw and create things for different reasons. But all that matters is that you do it with the people you care about, as we see from that, flashing slideshow towards the end of all the great memories she had with Kiyomoto. It's a beautiful sentiment. I'm getting emotional even thinking about it right now. And it's just beautiful. It makes you want to hug your loved ones. It makes you want to spend time with friends. And it makes me want to see the movie again. It was beautiful. It was great. It was funny. It had everything. And I'd highly recommend you go see Look Look Back. You look out for Look Back at your theater. So yeah, that's all I got to say. I'm absolutely in love with this film, and I highly recommend everyone go sees it. Big thumbs up for me. What did you think of Look Back? If you enjoyed this review, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel so much if you do all of those things. It really does. And let me know what you thought of Look Back in the comments, or if you intend to go see it, or what movies you've been enjoying recently. So much love to everybody, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and love, everybody.